that. Diana is the professor of comparative religion and Indian studies and the Emerita Frederick Wortham Research Professor of Law and Psychiatry and Society at Harvard University.
Well, such a gift to be able to be part of this, just as a moderator, really. Our first speaker today is going to be Seema, who also has been the editor of this volume. And this volume, by the way, is the second that her group has sort of produced. The other one was called Experiencing the Goddess on the Trail of the Yoginis, and I think we'll find that the Yoginis show up quite a lot in the work that we're looking at today. She is a multi-dimensional artist, and this book, which you must get because it has many of the photographs of her paintings and sculptures. She works in paint and lithograph and bronze and all sorts of things. I mean, just an amazing thing, and also a poet. She, like I, has a sort of obsession with the Hiranyagarbha, the golden egg, the golden germ, the golden embryo that birthed the entire creation. And this book gives a real sense of what, there's a whole series on Hiranyagarbha. And we have Anamika Roy, who's also come with us to India. She has done a book on the 64 yoginis, as well as one on the Amaravati Stupa, Brahmi inscriptions. She can take us through worlds of ancient India, but actually in this book she has chosen to plunge into the incredible world of Radha and talk about the creation of a goddess, not a birth thereof. And she is from the Department of Ancient History, Culture, and Archaeology at the University of Allahabad. They still call it that, or now is it the University of Prayagraj?
They call it still called University of Allahabad.
Yes, that's what I heard. Anyway, and she is writing on a book on Sri Radha, woman consort and goddess, that will evolve from some of the work she's done for this today. And then the inimitable Stella Dupuis, yoga teacher, meditation teacher, from Switzerland, Panama, bridging the Southern Americas and India, also on the trail of the yoginis. And it has been just wonderful to have Stella part of our community here. And we think of her and also of her late husband, Richard Cash, who has done so much for India and for the world, really. And finally, we decided we would get a man on this, and that was my colleague Frank Clooney, who is the Parkman Professor of Divinity and of Comparative Theology at the Divinity School. And he focuses his work on theological commentarial writings in Sanskrit and Tamil traditions, and is a leading figure globally in the development of field of global theology. He is also a Jesuit and has written on Jesuit missionaries in India. And it is just a pleasure to have him put his mind to the work of these scholars today. And then those who are not here include Janet Chawla, who does work in this volume on the whole process of birth. They say the idea of birth, but actually we begin to realize that birth is more than an idea for those who have given birth.
Yes.
And then Nilima Chitgopekar, who also has a wonderful piece in here that really focuses on Devi Mahatmya and the birth of that goddess, which is extraordinary. And anyone would like to refer to that from the Devi Mahatmya, that would be most welcome.
I would still like to say a line each about each author's work that they have done in this book. The idea of the book came about in 22, I think, Stella, we were together in 22 in...
It was 23 or 22.
Whatever. It was very nice that we were together, and there we were 22, 23, and we had already completed our first, The Trail of Goddesses, and we were thinking what we should go ahead with, and we were at a Laja Gauri temple She is the goddess for birthing, and it is a very beautiful, I think, icon over there, where it's instead of the head, there is a little lotus, the lotus petals of the yogini. And we started to discuss birthing, and that is the time the idea of a new book germinated. It took birth. So that's how, and then our publisher was overexcited to rope us all the friends, 5 friends, together again to do another book, because I think he did very well with the first one. And then we started to build on it, how we are going to be working around this. We had already started to meet every Wednesday. 5 of us meet online on Zoom, and that's a lot of thanks to Stella and her persistence that we all must meet and discuss our subject, that is the feminine, in some way or the other, reading out books to each other, bringing out various sites wherever they are. It's not always whatever is available in India, but all over the world, whatever we see, wherever we connect with the feminine. And we started to discuss, and we started to imagine what the book is going to be. And in between, I think one of us was really not well, Janet, but still we somehow pulled her through it, and here we are with all the 5 of us. I think the other aspect I would like to talk about is the insistence of our publisher that we 5 friends should be continuing to do the series of the feminine in different, and the different roles and the aspects and manifestations, because he was really, I think, fascinated with this whole idea of 5 friends coming together on one subject and different manifestations of the same subject, and which also intrigued us, at the same time made us also as excited as him. So here we are, and I would start with Anamika's chapter, which she has worked on. It is a fascinating essay, which traces the birth of Radha, the female deity, emerging in the early medieval Indian religious literary scenario. And Radha has been mostly seen as the consort of Krishna, but here she is brought her about as a feminine in her own right, with her own energies and possibilities. And Janet's essay, as you have already heard in this book, is only a fragment of a 25-year-old fascinating research on traditional birthing practices across India. We brought, mostly the book is about her birthing at home, was her main work, a video work, which she had done some years back, and it was, the book is more like an interpretation of her research on that. Nilima's essay is visually charged, vivid, evocative, tracing the birth and the feats of Durga, popularly known as Mahishasur-Mardini, for her battle against the demon Mahishasur, and also how she was brought into manifestation by different male gods, because they could not handle these demons. So how they incarnated this feminine form with various weapons, not only physically, but with a mental ability also. And in my essay, I navigate the continuity of birth and death through the ideas of Hiranyagarbha and Martanda. Martanda is the dead egg, and Hiranyagarbha is the golden egg. So what is the journey from the death to life, life to death, and how it is a continuous positive recycling of birth. But I have also seen birth not only as a biological one, it is social, political, ideological, and anything that we can touch upon, like we are all sitting here today talking. There is a golden womb between all of us, a womb of new ideas, a womb of new concepts, which is emerging in each one's mind in a different space, So I think the golden womb rules. It rules everywhere, and that's the feminine. The idea of feminine and the celebration of life is feminine. I deal with that in this book. And Stella, she of course takes us to magnificent ride all throughout the world, from the stories of Amazonian women and fighters to the Indian context, also to Sati and various other sites. And that is the story of 5 writers together and how we come about. We are again, we are on another journey now to start planning the third, the series, the series book. When we are discussing that, let's see what it comes out to be. Is another way of looking at the feminine, the Shavite waves, the Kashmiri Shavite way of looking at the idea of the whole universe, how it's come into being. But that which is not, Prakriti then, nature, nurturing, hence feminine, creation, procreation, the feminine percept, a constant state of evolution, of birth and rebirth, of creation and destruction, and creation again. I celebrate that aspect of creation, of nurturing, of faith, of belief. The golden womb, with its umbilical cord, the lotus stems, its creation and muddied waters resulting in the flowering of the world, and the state of enlightenment. A chain that carries on regardless of worlds that come and go. The golden womb with its umbilical cord, the lotus stems, its creation in muddied waters, resulting in the flowering of the world, and a state of enlightenment. But my universe is complete only when all energies balance, yin and yang, positive and negative. So this is part of my poem, I Am, which I wrote in 2008. And I realized that everything of all my works, everything is sort of gets engulfed with the idea of golden womb, even when I'm talking about Martand, that is the dead egg. But the dead egg also moves towards life, because that is only a kind of a termination period in between to move ahead. And why do we need that slight termination of life or a change of direction? Is probably that we experience every day, every night. Every breath that comes and goes, there is a process of Hiranyagarbha and Martand, the space where the breath is gone in and breath has gone out. The space in between is the space of Martand. The space outside, and when we take it in back, is the space of Hiranyagarbha. The space where we are talking to each other, the space we are seeing a tree and becoming a tree, seeing the lungs within the tree, and experiencing the breath or the communication of various whispers that are carried in the leaves of that tree through various countries and universes, which touches those leaves. I think this is the whole idea behind my work. It is very poetic, it is very romantic. I feel the sense of love and romance in everything I see around me. Because this whole idea of the golden womb comes from this mantra from Yajurveda, which says that there is a golden womb and they saw it as sun. There is this golden womb from which everything is emerging, recreating, positively being recycled. But somewhere down the line, I think we lost the sun to only being a male. But when I was going through the Garbha Puranas and the rest of the scriptures, I realized what they were saying was, there is a womb, and anything that is having a womb is feminine. And that doesn't mean a physical woman I'm talking about. That is feminine I'm talking about. I'm not talking about female or male. I'm talking about the energy. I'm concerned about the energy that is ruling, that is celebrating. There is a constant collaboration. And whatever collaborates is feminine. Wherever there is a collaboration, there is a constant extension and recycling that becomes feminine. And that's what I find, that each one of us are connected. Our umbilical cords are tied to one womb. There is no other. And this idea of no other suddenly brings me closer to everyone. It makes the whole universe a smaller space. It makes the whole world look very familiar. I would like to say another verse which is there in the book itself. It's right here. I just remember that I must read it out. Oh, I'm not able to find it. I just thought I had remarked it somewhere. Anyway,
Page
but
60, is that your poem? I am.
yeah, I am everywhere. Everything is in my womb. I expand in every thought. Every time I contract, the expansion is volcanic. Every time you believe I'm not, I create a miracle. You all come from one single womb, share the same single space. How can you despair that? I ride the mind, holding the reins by its hair. I am a celebration. This is what I think the feminine, the Mahamaya, or that ultimate energy which we all call Shakti, is probably saying. That's what I see her as. Did I say I'm laughter, then I'm also sorrow. Did I say I'm a woman, then I'm also a man. Did I say I'm complete, but I'm just a fragment? Did I say I am this world, but you know me as celestial? Do you know that I'm moral, but I can be immoral? I am land and I am the sky. So with this, I would hand it over to Anamika.
And have come all over from India just to have a dialogue with you people and share my experience of Radha. मेरी भव बाधा हरो राधा नागर सोए जातन की साई पड़े श्याम हरित होए. Oh my Radha, please remove my obstacles, whose golden color makes the blue god green. So this is how I see Radha, and this is how I see the relation between Radha and Krishna. Why I'm saying that Radha was not born, Radha was created. Because everyone tries to create one's own Radha. By training, I'm a historian, and I have created my own Radha. And in order to create Radha, in order to understand Radha, one has to become Radha. Otherwise, one won't be able to create a Radha, one won't be able to understand Radha. Radha was created by a number of writers of the Puranas. Puranas are the ancient Hindu scriptures written during early medieval period. Radha was created in the Sanskrit poems by the poets, and Radha was created as an ultimate by, please put the illustrations at time. By the great Sanskrit poet Jayadev, who wrote Geet Govindam in the 12th century CE. Unlike other deities of Hinduism, Radha didn't have a miraculous birth. no narration is attached to her birth. Suddenly Radha emerges in early medieval period. Only in one of the Puranas that is known as Padma Purana, there's a story that Radha was residing in heaven and she came down because of the curse of one of the cowherd boy. This is the only story, and only we find her father's name, that is Vishvanu. Otherwise, we don't know anything about Radha. And for the first time in the history of Hindu religion, a common woman, a cowherd woman, a gopi, becomes a goddess. And that is the beauty of the journey of Radha. Radha is the most enigmatic female character, female deity, or a goddess or a divine consort. Very enigmatic and highly misunderstood. She was not understood even by the poets or the historians or the theologians. Because as I told you, everybody tried to create their own Radha. And there is a contradiction, great contradiction. The Puranas, which are the Hindu scriptures, like Brahma Vaivarta Purana, Narada Purana, Padma Purana, their Radha is described as a goddess. She is a female deity there. She is equivalent to Mahalakshmi. She is equivalent to Saraswati. She is equivalent to Durga. But the same Radha in one of the Puranas that is known as Bhagavat Purana is not there. Bhagavat Purana is basically for the worship of Lord Krishna. Radha is not there. Radha is known as the consort of Krishna. Bhagavat Purana, which is the epitome of bhakti, that is the worship to the God, Radha is not. There is an absent Radha in the Bhagavat Purana, that is one of the main Puranas. And that absent Radha rules over entire Bhagavat Purana. Most of the seers, most of the historians, most of the theologians, most of the worshippers, they try to seek that absent Radha in the Bhagavat Purana. In the Ras is the circle dance of Lord Krishna. In the circle dance, in the Ras of Krishna, where Krishna is dancing with gopis and there is no Radha, everybody tries to find, where's Radha in the Bhagavat? Where's Radha in the Bhagavat? And that is the importance of absent Radha in the Bhagavat Purana. Because Radha is, but everybody tries. Radha is there in the later Puranas, that is Narada Purana, Padma Purana, Brahma Vaivarta Purana. But where Radha is not mentioned, everybody tries to find out Radha. That is the enigma of Radha, that is the mystery of Radha, and that is the significance of Radha. What I think, because had there been a Radha in the Bhagavat Purana, Lord Krishna must have lost his significance. Everybody would have started shouting, Radhe, Radhe. No Krishna. That's why Radha is, because at that time Krishna didn't need a feminine power, female power. Radha was the Ahladini Shakti of Krishna. That's why she came later. And in the Bhagavat Purana, no such female power was required, so there was no Radha. Now I'm coming to the Gita. This is about the religiosity of Radha. How the religious text describes and they take Radha as a female deity, as a goddess. Now I'm coming to the Sanskrit texts, Radha of literature. Gita Govinda, like I mentioned earlier, is a 12th century CE Sanskrit text written by Jayadeva. The entire story of Gita Govindam is of 2.5 days. Entire story is of and there are only 3 characters, Krishna, Radha and a friend of Radha, Sakhi. Only 3 characters are there. And here we find a tussle between eroticism and religiosity in the Gita Govindam. What is the beauty of Gita Govindam? That Jayadev made the Radha of literature, Radha who was described in the Sanskrit text of the female character of religion. From literature, Radha came to religion. This is how Geet Govindam treated Radha. And we find the extreme of eroticism in Geet Govindam as well as the religiosity in Geet Govindam. Both are found. Now, the writer of Geet Govindam, Jayadev, he himself was a worshipper of Shakti. But in Geet Govindam, he invokes the 10 incarnation of Vishnu and writes about the love affair of Radha and Krishna. It has often been asked, when Krishna was a god, Radha was a goddess, so how come there's so much ringar or eroticism in their relation? Like I said, this is the most misunderstood relation of Hindu religion. Jayadev himself says, Yadi Harismande Sarasam Mano Tadi Vilas Kulastu Kutubalam Madhur Kamal Kant Padavalina Shru Tadas Jayadeva Saraswati. If you want to remember, if you want to memorize, if you want to worship Krishna, only then you listen to the hymns or the verses of Geet Govindam, otherwise don't. If you want to seek eroticism, please don't read the verses of Geet Govindam. Ras, the circle dance, is there everywhere, in the Puranas also. And it is there in the Geet Govindam also. But Ras of the Puranas, there is a goddess, and she has come down from the heaven and she's dancing, Krishna is dancing, the gopis are dancing. But in the Geet Govindam, there is the extreme of Ras. And in their relation, Vrindavan, Professor Diana, now coming to your subject, the sacred geography. The forest of Vrindavan plays a very prominent role. How come the prominent role? Vrindavan is referred to in the Geet Govindam as the name Vrindavan only once. And in that 2.5 days story, Krishna, Radha and Radha's female friend, they are all lost in Vrindavan. And the sacred Vrindavan becomes erotic Vrindavan at that time. Same Vrindavan. And there's darkness all over. The trees are dark, the river Yamuna is dark, Krishna is dark, there are clouds over the sky, they are dark. And in this darkness, only Radha is fair, and both are lost in that darkness. Why there is so much darkness? Does it show the darkness of their relation? That they are going to separate forever? Once Krishna will leave, he will never come back. So does this darkness symbolize that? And it is not that it is this darkness of Vrindavan is mentioned only in the Geet Govindam, it is there in the Brahmavaivarta Purana, a Purana whose date is very doubtful, from 12th century CE to 16th century CE. There is also Ras Mandal. There Krishna and Radha both are lost in the darkness. But there is a very interesting reference in the Brahmavaivarta Purana. It describes the marriage of Krishna and Radha in Vrindavan in that Ras Mandal. Till date, Radha was supposed to be someone else's wife. Ayan Ghosh was her husband. But it is in the Brahmavaivarta Purana, which is of late date, there is a whole description that in that Vrindavan, in that Rasa Mandal, the marriage of Radha and Krishna takes place, and all the gods they descend from the sky to attend that marriage. What was the need? Radha, in other Puranas, she stands on her own. There are 1001 names of Radha in the Narada Purana. In the Padma Purana, there is a story of that Radha Ashtami, the fast for Radha. In Narada Purana, because it shows the shades of Tantricism, there are quite a few rituals for worshipping Radha. Radha is very much independent there. No Krishna is required there. It's still in Brahmavai. Perhaps there was some need that writer of the Purana, and that this is the only Purana. In Padma Purana, there's some vague reference, vague references to the marriage, but in the Brahmavai word, the Purana. So when people say that, what was the relation between Radha and Krishna? So perhaps there was a need to justify that relation. That's why in one of the very late Puranas they got married. There's a story of their marriage. Otherwise, in the Purana she is independent, and in the Gita Govinda, very strong character. Very strong character. Very strong female character there. Otherwise, in all other Sanskrit texts, there are very few references, and Radha is there as a consort of Krishna, not as an independent lady. But in the Puranas and Gita Govindam, we have an independent character. In Gita Govindam, she is a female character, then in the Purana, she is a deity, female deity who is standing on her own, no less than all other female deities. And two questions are always asked: what is Radha and who is Radha? What is Radha? What is Radha can be found in the Puranas, the Radhaism, the Radha Tattva, the philosophy of Radha, the cult of Radha. And who is Radha? Radha is the divine consort of Krishna, which we find in the Sanskrit text, which we find in the Gita Govindam, who is playing Ras with Krishna, who is angry with Krishna. Yahi Madhav, Yahi Keshav. She says to Krishna, go away Krishna, go away Madhav. I'm not going to say you. So this is the importance of Radha. She's so much important there. And this is the journey of Radha. From a gopi to goddess. A common cowherd woman becomes a goddess, becomes a cult. From Gujarat to Vrindavan, you can see the cult of Radha. In Bengal, you have the worship of Mahishasura Mardini. But what about Gujarat? What about Vrindavan? What about Mathura? There's cult of Radha. So this is how Radha could be explained. One has to understand Radha. One has to become Radha. One has to feel Radha. Only then Radha could be understood. One has to try to see how come we have such a strong character. Like in 2012, the book came. Is the goddess a feminist? So we can say, is Radha a feminist? I am not going into the details. I am just putting the question to you. Is Radha a feminist? That's all. Thank you.